don't mess with my peace. So even when I did file the papers, I had offered her, not offered, but I had told her, like, listen, if you really down to make this work, I'll toss this. And I kid you not, I can't make this up. This is exactly what she told me. I'm for the streets. I can't make that up. So if you for the streets, then to the streets you shall return.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Yes. Hey, we're going to talk to you guys about Adam and Latoya Forever's divorce. It's ironic, isn't it? Latoya forever, and then you don't stay together forever. Anyway, so if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. For those of you returnees, and you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, you got the minerals. Check out the new merchandise as well on the website. We're really trying to shell it out for you guys. You guys always want to ask, what is minerals? It's strength, it's power, it's courage. It's bravery. Alright guys, if you let's get into the video. Let's not spend too much time wasting trotting. So obviously I took time with this because I didn't want to just jump into this. I watched Adam's video where he spoke about his reasoning for why this is happening between himself and Latoya. Now, I've been on YouTube for about 5 years myself, but I've also been watching different various artists, and I came across Latoya and Adam when my sister was watching them. Yeah, so they were always quite very popular vloggers. You know, they vlogged about their life and what they used to do and everything like that. And one thing I always remember about Latoya was that yes, it started getting to a place where they was, you know, you see some certain arguments on, you know, socials here and there, but you know, you never consider it because that's just TV. It's YouTube. You're thinking that probably it's even scripted. You know what I mean? Whatever. So it's a shame to see them break up because nobody wants to see them break up, but they're not the only ones. Nicky and whatever his name broke up. Whatever 85 broke up as well. Like, many people be breaking up. Yeah, it's nothing new. It's nothing old. It's nothing new. It's nothing different under the sun. It happens. But what's important is that we're going to talk about the actual things that he actually said, because I want to break down that and just give us the real direction in terms of what he's actually saying, because there seems to be a bigger issue here, more than just anything per se, but his spiritual journey seems to have contributed a great much to the breakup as well.
Well, if they're not ready for that journey, they're not ready. But regardless, I was roping her in as my partner to go down this spiritual journey, this growth, this enlightenment of just being more in tune with life and the essence of all of this and family and all.
But hey, let's break it down. He said the first thing he said, you know, he doesn't want to bash her, he doesn't want to pick a side, right? So he made it very, very clear instantly, this ain't trying to drop tea and get you people to hate her and everything like that. But what it is though, is him trying to redirect the press. And what I mean by that is those who are social media lights, yeah, those who are on Twitter, Instagram, because he says later on that he has been dragged on the internet and by her side as well. So evidently him giving this piece of information or this video was to incite a different change and to show people that it's different. Okay, I have to let you know that's not the full story. I've got to let you know this is what really happened so that you can stop dragging me in these streets. Okay, I'm
gonna be as neutral as possible. I'm not making this video to put myself against her or you guys to pick sides. I'm not into any of that stuff. So let me make that clear. I know a video like this, it's so easy to come off like a simp or like come off looking hurt or whatever. But her side of, you know, people from her side, and I don't owe her anymore. I don't owe her protection anymore. Like, I don't have to stay quiet to protect you.
And so he obviously says also her side as well are also dragging him. This is very, very important. So he's not getting it just from the internet. He's now getting dragged from her side, right? And so it's about making sure that he readdresses the balance and puts out his own statement so that you can understand, hey, stop dragging me. That's not what happened. Here's what really happened. Here's why we're really here. I bet you didn't know this. I bet she didn't tell you about this behavior, right? And obviously he said he's trying to keep it together, to keep the family together, you know, and that Latoya brought the divorce first, but he rejected it.
Kept it together in order to keep the family going. And even when I did give her the papers, because essentially that's what she wanted, because she brought this to me originally. I thought everything was lovely. The only difference was I decided to follow through with it. Like I came into the year saying I'm embracing any kind of smoke, that was just my motto coming into this year. Like, I'm not playing. I'm going forward with whatever anybody brings to me. Don't mess with my peace.
Now, I want to make this pause here and say this. I'm not going to pick a side and say, oh my gosh, she definitely did him dirty, blah, blah, blah. Because one thing I know about divorce is that it takes two to tango. And as well, not everybody tells the truth, boy and woman. But here's the thing. She put out a divorce first, 2019. He rejects it, then puts out his own divorce in 2020, and she accepts it. Now, whatever reason was for in 2019, whether it was financial, whether the fact that he wants to keep it going and see if they can make it, whatever it was, he rejected it. And it could seem like, I want to put this out there, it could seem like it was a manipulative move or a power move to block her from divorcing him and for him to divorce her. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we're in a place where we want to have control and we want to do the divorcing because it means I control the scenario, I control proceedings, you don't dump me, I dump you. You know what I mean? And so I want to make that other side clear that as much as I'm seeing that that it also could have been that he stopped the divorce there because he wanted to make it work and see if he could, because later on he says, you know, they tried. But you have to also look at the other side. It could be a manipulative move. Why he didn't accept it at first and why he accepted it after that. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously the reason why he said obviously he did the divorce was because, you know, he tried to make it work, and what he said to her was that she said she belongs to the streets, right? And the message he puts up was that she said obviously I belong to the streets, and he put a message above it which says heart posture. Now here's the thing. As much as I hear what he's saying, and I can see the evidence of
kept it together in order to keep the family going. And even when I did give her the papers, because essentially that's what she wanted, because she brought this to me originally. I thought everything was lovely. The only difference was I decided to follow through with it. Like I came into the year saying I'm embracing any kind of smoke. That was just my motto coming into this year. Like, I'm not playing. I'm going forward with whatever anybody brings to me. Don't mess with my peace. So even when I did file the papers, I had offered her, not offered, but I had told her, like, listen, if you really down to make this work, I'll toss this. And I kid you not, I can't make this up. This is exactly what she told me. I'm for the streets. I can't make that up. So if you for the streets, then to the streets you shall return.
That is not enough evidence for me to say that she said this thing in the context of what he said it in. I want to just bring that as well, because I think it's very important to shine the light, but also to bring a balance. Because he didn't show the rest of the message. What was said before that? You're telling me she said she belonged to the streets, but what does that mean? Like, that could be a message that wasn't even about the situation. All that I saw above that was heart posture. Why not show the rest of the message that you broke before it got to that stage? Because all we see is heart posture. That could mean anything. That could be any conversation, any time. So as much as I want to agree with him and say, yeah, I agree with you, bro. Like, she said, oh, she should belong to the streets. Then to the streets, she must return, like you said, right? And I would agree with that. If that is the case, I agree with that. If she said she wants to go to the streets, back to the streets, she return. Yeah? And then he goes on to make a point, the fact that, you know what, he feels like he's made the right choice. And actually later on, he also says, well, the reason why he feels like he made the right choice, because also, he never felt like he could do enough right. He always felt like he had to do, he was always fighting and chasing a shadow to try and do the best, and it was never good enough.
Yeah, no matter how hard I worked, how I, like, if I pointed out, hey, look at this blessing happening, it never really stuck, or she never really grasped it. And there was nothing that I could do to make her content, satisfied, count your blessings, or happy.
For her. And that her eyes were greener. She wanted to have the green grass across the other side. And so she had this green-eyed monster where she can never be satisfied, right? I'm not satisfied where I've been. Anyway, so he says obviously the reason why he feels like he made the right choice is because he's choosing peace. I want you to understand something. The reason why he feels he's making a choice is because he is choosing peace. The choice for him is peace. I want to make a disclaimer again. Relationships have peace, but they're not always peaceful, right? In order to have peace, sometimes you need to have war. Sometimes we need to argue back and forth to get peace, because I don't understand your viewpoint, you don't understand my viewpoint. We're talking the same language, but the communication is not landing the same, and so therefore we're now heading butts together, we're butting heads together, right? And so I understand his sentiment of I want peace, and he explains that later on in the second point, which is that he's done fighting fires, right? Men get tired. Look, when you get older, you realize you don't want fire every day. You don't want the feisty girl every day. You don't want the girl that opens her mouth large every day. You just want peace. Give me peace, 'cause I surrender all to you. You just want peace. And so I can understand that, obviously, and it goes on to explain, saying that the firefighting was the fact that she was causing these issues. So it's not like things were coming her way. Like, that would be different. She's causing issues. She's a part of the problem. And when someone's a part of the problem, then he feels like he has to go and back up this problem. And all he's doing is causing more friction between himself and her. And also for himself, because he's like, Rod, how many situations are you going to be in? How long are you going to keep doing this? How are you not going to be content just living life, but you always want to be in some type of drama? We don't want no drama. Drama, because we don't want no drama. You know, and then he goes on to say, obviously, that he was avoiding the red flags. And one thing I want to say about relationships is this. A lot of times in relationships, before people get into it, there's red flags. Yeah, before you get into a relationship, there's a red flag. Think about any of the guys you've dated beforehand. You would have seen there's red flags, most of them. Ladies, guys to ladies, you know, you'd remember there was red flags in that person, and you would have just said, I shouldn't go ahead with this, but I'm going to go anyway, because they're cute, they're good looking, they got money, or, you know, they're cute, they're good looking, the sex is good. I'm going to keep pursuing, right? And we ignore these red flags because of what we want. We want a happy life. We want love. We want to be desired. We want to be taken care of. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we can ignore the obvious signs, which is that the person is mad and there's no one to tell them. You understand? Right? This is one of the red flags. Nothing ever did was enough. And that she was never content. And she had the grass is greener syndrome, right? Where no matter how hard he worked, she just seemed to want more. She never was content. She was never stable where she was. She always wanted to do something a bit more extra, right? And people like that are insatiable hunger. We call it lust. Yeah, lust is not just your balls. Lust is an insatiable hunger for more, right? And in this case, it's material wealth. And I think this is where they begin to split properly, because he said he came to a point where when Kobe died, he got to a position where he realized life is but a vapor. I think it's proverb. I think that's Ecclesiastes. Life is but a vapor, and there are things in life that are more important than getting money or getting material things. There is more important things in terms of growing into a place of maturity, emotionally, spiritually, physically, probably not physically, but emotionally and spiritually, where you begin to be content with life and understand that life is more than the money I can make.
Because if someone is content, they don't do certain things to not show the, you know, contentment. They don't jeopardize things. So
it's more than the business deals. It's more than the materials that are around my neck, the materials that are on my wrist. More important than those kind of things, because they are perishable. And therefore, he said, obviously, after Kobe died, that was his idol. He felt like he needed to change. He felt like, you know what, that something had to be flipped in him. Right? And he said, obviously, look, there was blessings that he was praying for, blessings that were being happening or whatever, and he would understand it, but then she wouldn't get it, right? She wouldn't accept these blessings. She wouldn't be content with these blessings. She always wanted more, right? And he said, obviously, that, you know, that he didn't give, he said, obviously, that, you know what, when someone's content, they don't jeopardize that contentment. He's absolutely right. You know, it's a bit like when a girl or a guy has never been treated right and they've always been abused when they're younger, get into a relationship with somebody who's good, and then they mistreat that person there because they're scared that this will happen to them first. Or they can't accept the love of that person, it's too pure, but they'll go with somebody who's slightly abusive as well, because that's what they're used to, the abusive behavior.
And I started going down a journey of just trying to amplify my purpose in life and have, you know, striving for personal growth, and I would try to rope her in on this journey. Keep in mind, I totally get it. Like, you know, some people, if they're not ready for that journey, they're not ready. But regardless, I was roping her in as my partner to go down this spiritual journey, this growth, this enlightenment of just being more in tune with life and the essence of all of this and family and all that. But something completely of the opposite occurred. I noticed when I was going down this journey of enlightenment and personal growth, not only was she not interested in going down that pathway, but the opposite started occurring. She became more into vanity stuff.
You mentioned the word, obviously, like spiritual journey or enlightenment, personal development, but didn't actually say what it was. Are you becoming a Christian? Are you becoming a Muslim? Are you becoming a spiritualist? What are you doing? A spiritual journey, what does that mean? Let us know so that we know where you're going. Because actually, I feel like he didn't say that because I think that's a huge contention in terms of himself and Latoya. That there is a spiritual disparity in terms of belief as well, contributing to the fact that they're not together. He said obviously, she became an enemy rather than actually doing the opposite. So as he was trying to grow in his spiritualness and personal development, she was doing more and more to antagonize him, right? And it's like the person was almost self-sabotaging because it's like, oh, I'm done with you. Like, brother, I want to end this relationship, but I don't know how to say it. I'm just going to self-sabotage, right? And it must have felt like that for him, right? Because he said, obviously, the more he went the other way, the more she went the other way. The more she went the other way. The more that she decided that she was going to hinder the process, okay? And that's very, very important.
Inspirational stuff, but I always knew that I wasn't giving my all because that was not the theme of the content. If you guys came to my channel, our family channel, then you knew that you were getting a certain type of content. And if
you know what, he never gave his all. He never gave his all for the content that was produced, and this is where it gets interesting. Because he said obviously he never gave his all for the content that was produced, and actually he spent 9 years developing her comment, and that's her business, her venture, her platform. And that's very, very interesting that he's in a place now where he realizes I was doing a lot for her, but I didn't do much for me. And I want to just say this to you guys. Listen, look, being in a marriage doesn't mean that you can't do your own thing. Doesn't mean that you can't do your thing. Doesn't mean when you're supporting each other that you have to ignore your dreams. You must still continue to get your dreams, because situations not like divorce, but the fact is that you have your own way of going, your own path you must lead, and you must begin to lead in those areas because there are people waiting on you with your destiny. And so I understand. He said later on as well that he was like, some people have sent him a message that he's a motivator, and that's the kind of thing he wanted to do. But the channel wasn't for that. The channel wasn't built for that. The channel that he had with his missus wasn't for that purpose. And that's crazy because obviously, now he started his own channel and obviously doing some great things, that he wasn't able to do that with his missus. And again, these are the disparities. These are ocean-wide gaps between the two of them that haven't really been said, but are being that are being shown to us through what he said in this video as well. So, I don't know. I mean, I think he made it very, very clear that there was something not quite right in terms of spiritualness, in terms of the fact that she's not content. Those were probably smaller things in general, but they were obviously something that could actually trigger. There's something, obviously, the things that she was doing obviously have triggered him to a point where he wants to come out and speak about the situation. I don't know. I think to myself, concluding wise, I'm not going to say who's right and who's wrong. Latoya obviously gave a statement as well. I just want to say that obviously, look, for him, he's moved on, it seems. He's moving on, it seems, and he's moving forward. Do you understand? I just pray that he lives large and does what he needs to do. You know what I'm saying? And enjoys himself. Yeah. Yeah, so guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click that bell button for notification of the what? Uploads, baby. And for those of you returnees, you ain't got the minerals, baby. I appreciate you. You ain't got the minerals, baby. Appreciate y'all.